Hello and welcome. Today we're looking at the FlyHal FX1 drone, also known as the MJX Bugs 16, courtesy of BangGood.com. Check out their site for more cool quadcopters just like this one. Now, this foldable brushless GPS drone has a 4K camera that's stabilized with a 3-axis gimbal and digital image stabilization. It has optical flow positioning and plenty of automated features such as auto takeoff, auto land, return to home, waypoints, follow me, circle me, gesture control, and plenty of others. So let's check it out. Now the drone comes in this white rectangular box showing the quadcopter there in the front. And this is the FlyHal FX1 for ages 14 plus. And this is an exact rebrand of the MJX Bugs 16 Pro. So both drones are exactly identical except for cosmetic differences. And down below you could see a group of icons there showing all the features it has, such as 4K camera, 3-axis gimbal, 5G Wi-Fi, etc., etc. On the top, not much going on. Here on the side you could see the gimbal. On this side you can see the controller. Nothing below, and in the back you have some QR codes for the app and various other materials, and you have some product notes down below. So now let's open this up and take a look inside, see what we get. And right away we could see that we have a nice case here, silvery grayish case. So we'll set the box here over to the side. And now let's take a look here. It's a nice, well-constructed case, good material. And it's kind of like leathery and pretty solid. Has a nice handle here and a zipper. And it says FlyHal there. So let's open it up and take a look inside. Let's unzip here and open it up. And there's a protective cover, so we'll set that aside. And as you can see, there's an inner pocket with the instruction manual and some accessories. And the drone is nice and neatly packed away in there along with the transmitter. So let's first open up the inner pocket and take a closer look here. It comes with the instruction manuals and accessories. So here's the instruction booklet, and there's also a quick start guide. So there's a lot of good information there on the operation of the drone. And we'll set that aside. Then we have the drone's charge cable and a screwdriver to change the propellers. And the charge cable can be plugged directly into the battery to charge the batteries. And then here we have the spare propellers. It comes with 4 spare propellers. So pretty good. There are 4 folding spare propellers. So we'll set that aside here. Now let's take a closer look at the drone here. So this is a folding drone, but it has a different style of folding. It's more of an elongated shape, not quite as compact as, say, a Mavic, but it folds more like a Parrot Anafi, as you could see here, simple folding. And then the legs come out like so. And it does quite look like a Mavic, but it's also kind of like an Anafi, Parrot Anafi. Here is the gimbal guard that protects the 3-axis gimbal inside there. And down below we have the bright LED landing light, the optical flow positioning sensor or camera, and we have some rubbery landing legs. And then we have bright LEDs around the drone with different colors. We have the smart battery here that shows the level of charge. So a very neat drone, very well constructed. Let's look here at the transmitter. This kind of looks like a Mavic, DJI Mavic transmitter. And it has these folding arms here. So you have good grips there. Then it has these folding antennas. And, good comfortable controls and ergonomics. And it has this fold-out mobile device or phone mount right here. So you could put a pretty large phone on there. And it takes 2 AA batteries. So pretty nifty controller here with some telemetry there on the screen. And so a very good set that you can get with 1, 2, and I believe up to 3 batteries. So now let's take a closer look at the drone. Now, taking a closer look at the drone, This is a very sleek looking drone that somewhat resembles a DJI Mavic, but also has some of the characteristics of a Parrot Anafi, especially in the way that it folds. Here in the front, you could see its 4K camera on a 3-axis gimbal, and the camera shoots at 60 frames per second in 1080p and 30 frames per second in 4K. It also has electronic image stabilization, which you could see here. It says 4K EIS. And it has powerful brushless motors, which are 2204 1000 kV motors. And also it has onboard footage by using this SD card slot located right here on the side of the drone. So you could put up to a 32 gig SD card and record onboard footage, which is great. Now let's take a closer look at the battery. And it has a locking mechanism here where you can simply snap it out. And it's a pretty large battery at 11.4 volts, 3200 milliamps. And it takes about 4 or 5 hours to fully charge the battery. And it charges through a USB-C port right here on the side of the battery. So you need a USB-C cable, which it comes with. And it's somewhat of a smart battery in the sense that it shows you the level of charge here with these LED lights. And it provides the quadcopter with around a 28-minute flight time. So it just simply snaps and locks back into place there. And as mentioned before, this is a folding drone that folds somewhat like a Parrot Anafi. It's pretty simple to fold in and out. You just bring in the legs there and snap everything back into place there and align the propellers accordingly. And as you could see, it's quite long and elongated there when it's all folded and compact. But it still fits in the case very well, and unfolding it is very simple. You just snap everything back out again, and it's very solid and stable. And right below, you could see the bright LED landing light. You could see the optical flow camera underneath the drone, and there are several rubbery landing legs throughout the bottom. So it's very stable, and the landing light provides optical flow during dark environments. Also, there are many bright LEDs throughout the drone. They're very colorful. So you can see there's lights there at the top, on the back, here in the front. So definitely good for orientation, especially flying during the early evening hours. So very bright, colorful, well-oriented drone. And then you can simply shut it down by double pressing the battery button there. So a very good solid drone. And so now let's take a closer look at its transmitter. Now taking a closer look at the controller, this is a very comfortable and compact DJI-like transmitter. And here on the front of the screen, there's a lot of telemetry, such as the signal strength, the distance, the height, the number of satellites, whether GPS is enabled or not, the rate of speed, the charge level on both the drone and controller. So a lot of good telemetry there on the screen. Here's the on-off switch. Then we have the motor lock and unlock button. We have our left throttle stick followed by our right rudder stick. Then we have the photo and video button. So a short press takes a photo, long press shoots video. Then we have our return to home button right here on the upper right. Here we have the GPS switch. So you can enable or disable GPS, and if you disable GPS, it'll use the optical flow positioning. Here we have the fold-out antennas, and one of them is a valid antenna because it has wiring behind it. And then we have these fold-out grips underneath the controller, so it provides very comfortable folding grips there. And behind the controller, we have a lid here that holds a slot for 2 AA batteries, which is what powers the controller. And then right here we have a fold-out mobile device or mobile phone mount here. So you could put a pretty large cell phone there because there's plenty of space, but not quite a tablet. And it'll hold it securely in place. And then looking here at the top of the controller, we have these 2 wheels. The one on the left is just for decoration, but the one on the right is an actual spin wheel for tilting the camera up or down. At the upper left here you'll see the button for the auto takeoff and land. And then over here on the right hand side, this button, if you short press it, it'll turn on and off the landing lights. And if you long press it, it'll change the rates of speed to either low or high. And so this controller provides the quadcopter with around a kilometer range of control. So now let's take a closer look at setting this up for a first-time flight. Now, setting up for a first-time flight is very straightforward. Once you have a fully charged battery inserted into the drone along with an SD card, and have a fresh set of batteries inserted into the transmitter along with a mobile device, you'd proceed to activate the drone by double pressing and keeping the battery button pressed at the top of the drone, like so, until it turns on, and you should see the bright LED start to flash. At this point, you keep the red motor lock button pressed and turn on the controller at the same time, and it should automatically bind with the quadcopter. So make sure the drone is at the ground level, flat and not moving, because during this initialization phase, it will calibrate the gyros and level off the drone for flight. And then you should see an icon on the transmitter indicating that the GPS compass will need to be calibrated. So you will need to rotate the drone 3 or 4 spins on its flat horizontal axis until the colors on the drone lights change. So you'd rotate it about 3 or 4 spins, and you should see the lights change. At that point, you gotta rotate the drone either upwards or downwards and rotate it another 3 or 4 spins on its vertical axis until the lights change once again. So you just spin it 3 or 4 times and you'll see the lights change. Then you set the drone flat on the ground level again and just simply wait for satellites and GPS connection. You should see the lights go green on the drone, and you should also see the satellite count on the transmitter go up. At that point, you have home lock, and you'll be able to do return to home. You could start the motors by pressing the red unlock button, and it should start the rotors, and then you can simply take off. You can hit the auto takeoff button. You can turn off GPS and take off if necessary. So there's plenty of takeoff options. But during this phase, we're going to connect to the drone's Wi-Fi to use the app. So let's do that. So once in your mobile device's Wi-Fi settings, you want to make sure you connect to an entry that says drone 4G dash and a serial number. And initially there is no default Wi-Fi password or anything like that. So you could simply connect to that drone 4G entry. And then you want to make sure you've downloaded and installed this MRC Pro app in either the iOS or Android App Store. So once downloaded, you'd go ahead and proceed to launch that app by clicking the icon. And you should be greeted with this screen right here. And at the upper left, you have your language options, and lower right, you have the photo gallery. So if you click the language options, you can switch between English, French, so on and so forth. If you click the photo gallery icon on the lower right, you can access all the saved photos and videos in either the SD card or the app. But the main option you want to enter on the main screen is Start. So once you click Start, you will have a couple of intro screens, such as this one here, that tells you what all the icons within the app indicate or what they mean. And then you'll have another sub-screen here that shows you in more detail what all the options and icons represent. But then you'll go into the live FPV view mode with the drone, and the FPV range on this drone is around 500 meters. So you'll have the live view here, and here in the app you have lots of telemetry and indicators and statuses. At the top you can see the number of satellites, the signal strength, and there's plenty of options and settings. You can also see the distance and the height. So a lot of different options there. If you click the eyeball icon there at the top, you can switch to VR mode or FPV mode. So it'll basically split the screen, and then you can put the mobile device or cell phone in VR goggles and fly this in FPV style. And then you can exit out of that. And then moving on to other options here on the screen, you can click the settings icon on the upper left, and here you can adjust the max flight altitude, the distance, a lot of different parameters. Then you have a subset of options here where you can perform gyro and compass calibrations. And then you finally have your flight logs here, so you can see the dates and the distances and the altitudes for all your flights. Going back again to the main screen, where you can record the photo and video on the right, there's more options for photo and video. Here you can pick whether you record at 4K 30 frames per second or 1080p at 60 frames per second. You can also adjust the saturation, the brightness, the color scales, so on and so forth, the ISO. And then you can, of course, go to the last subset of options on your framing options and whether you format the SD card. And now on the left side of the main screen, there's a map view at the bottom where you can draw your waypoints. Then you have your auto takeoff and land icons, but the first icon is where you choose your advanced flight mode, such as follow me, circle me, or headless mode. So a lot of neat features and options within the app. Overall, an excellent package. Drone with many features at this budget price point. This can very well be candidate for budget drone of the year, since it has a very smooth, high quality camera. The stabilization and the quality of the 4K camera at this price point and this range are excellent. And the performance and the number of features for this budget drone are amazing. So definitely highly recommended. So let's take it up for a flight and see how it performs.